Meanwhile, Homan announced Chicago will be ground zero for mass deportations. He told a crowd at a Chicago GOP holiday party that Chicago is in trouble because your mayor sucks and your governor sucks. Attendees of the party included both Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson.
I want to be clear. If you're in the country legally, you're not off the table.
Governor Pritzker is vowing to follow the state's immigration laws, and he questions whether or not Homan even has the legal authority to fulfill the promises.
He does not have the authority to do the things that he's talked about. Being a border czar is not an official position.
The city of Chicago says as of Wednesday, the total people seeking asylum and arriving via buses and airplane from Texas is just over 51,000. Since August of 2020, there have been 946 buses dropping off migrants. More than 17,000 have been resettled, and more than 7,000 have been reunited with sponsors. Right now, more than 2,600 are in Chicago shelters. Joining us now, Raymond Lopez, alderman for Chicago's 15th Ward. Good morning and welcome back to you, sir. Appreciate your time. You met with Tom Homan while he was in Chicago. Tell me about the two of your conversation.
Well, the border czar Tom Homan and I had a very good conversation. We had a private one-on-one where we discussed ways in which we can work together to achieve the same goals. I believe that he has a mandate from President Trump to focus on removing those who are committed to committing heinous crimes in our communities when they arrive here. You know, there are all kinds of undocumented throughout the city of Chicago and indeed throughout the United States. Most of them obey the law. However, there's a small segment that continue to deal in drugs, guns, human trafficking, and sex crimes against minors. And he and I both expressed our concern about removing those specific individuals from our communities. Sadly, politicians like our governor and our mayor choose to gaslight and posture and pontificate rather than address the public safety concerns that they want to bring. I'm glad to report that I think J.B. Pritzker has said that he's now willing to sit down and meet with Trump and Homan to discuss this. My mayor is not. But I think at the end of the day, they are going to go after those dangerous criminals in our communities. And what I don't want is for them to go looking for suspect X and wind up finding a family that's undocumented, that's been following the laws and just waiting for their path to come out of the shadows and get rounded up as well. Yeah,
well, logistically, I know that's a challenge. You say a small number, you believe, are involved in crime, violent crime, of the illegal immigrants who are in the city. Do you have a sense of just how many of those thousands that are here?
Well, unfortunately, ever since Lori Lightfoot was mayor and now continue on with Brandon Johnson, we're not able to keep statistics on whether or not those that we are helping, whether they are victims or whether they are perpetrators, are in fact undocumented. So the last real data we have probably goes back to about 2018, 2019. But I do know anecdotally, as someone who's very much in touch with my community, someone who deals a lot with undocumented, that we've seen many individuals, particularly those that manipulated asylum to gain entry under the Biden administration into our country. Those are the ones that we're having the most difficulty with. And I think that when we arrest someone who is shooting, as we saw in the Southwest side where 6 people were shot, 3 people were killed in a Venezuelan migrant house, when you have someone that's committing crimes like that, and if we arrest that person, we should be able to let immigration know that we have them so that they can take them away and deal with them accordingly at the federal level. We should not make a catch and release cat and mouse game with the federal government because the wrong people are going to get rounded up and be deported. Our goal should be simple, and all of those that claim they want to work with sanctuary need to really fine-tune that message because they are putting others in jeopardy simply for their politics.
I'm wondering, one of the things that Trump has proposed is bringing in the National Guard to help with some of these mass deportation efforts. Is that something that you discussed with Tom Homan, and do you believe that would be necessary?
You know, I think in a situation where if you have the state and the local municipalities refusing to participate in making life more difficult for the federal government to do its job of protecting our sovereignty as a nation, that might be a call worth exploring. But I think there are easier options for us to remedy the situation. We can both be welcoming, but also not make it not make exceptions for criminals to have sanctuary in our cities. And I think that's a great starting point for us to move forward on.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.